I read this New Testament line, well, decades ago, and I could never understand it. The line is, the meek shall inherit the earth. And I thought, there's something wrong with that line. It just doesn't make sense to me. Meek just doesn't seem to me to be a moral virtue. Meek is not a good translation, or the word has moved in the 300 years or so since it was translated. What it means is this: those who have swords and know how to use them, but keep them sheathed, will inherit the world. And that's another thing I've been telling. Yeah, no kidding. That's a lot different, man. That's a big difference. It's so great. And so, like, one of the things I tell young men is that you should be a monster. Because everyone says, well, you should be harmless, virtuous. You shouldn't do anyone any harm. You should sheath your competitive instinct. You shouldn't try to win. You don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too assertive. You want to take a back seat and all of that. It's like, no, wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster. And then you should learn how to control it.
Do you know the expression, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war?
Right, exactly. That's exactly it.
If you want to be great, if you want to get the recognition, if you want to get fucking paid, if you want all of the things that you dream about, there is only one way to guarantee that you will have those things. Only one. And that is becoming so fucking good at what you do, no matter what it is you do, that it is undeniable that other people recognize how great you are. Becoming undeniable is not something that sticks with you in a certain role. It's a character trait that you can develop. That means any place that you are put, you will put in the work. You will learn the skills. You will improve your arsenal to become the undeniable best in that role. And if you have that attitude to where it doesn't matter if you're cooking French fries or you're making $10 billion business deals, you are going to be the absolute best that you can be, and there's nothing that can stop you.
You must have, as a basic principle, the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. When you discover what you're going to be in life, set out to do it, and to do it well. Set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. So I would urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil. I would say to you, set out to do a good job and do that job so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. Falls your lot to be a street sweeper. Sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are.
I want to know what I'm made of. I want to know what I can overcome. And I know that the harder the task, the harder the obstacle to overcome, the more strength I'm going to gain from it. It's an opportunity to prove that you're a winner. It's an opportunity to prove you are what you say you are in your head when you look in the mirror. When you look in the mirror and you say, there goes a bad motherfucker, you actually believe it. That's the importance of passing these tests. Successful people love the experience of not feeling like doing but then going and kicking ass anyway. They understand that those are the real victories in life. They understand that it's easy to do when you feel like doing but they also understand that the real magic, the real glory is earned when your heart is not into something, but your mind tells you, I'm going to do this anyway, and does it.
So when I tell young men that, they think, well, lots of them are competitive. They're low in agreeableness, because that's part of being competitive temperamentally. It's like, is there something wrong with being competitive? There's nothing wrong with it. There's something wrong with cheating. There's something wrong with being a tyrant. There's something wrong with winning unfairly. All of those things are bad. But you don't want people to win? What's the difference between trying to win and striving? You want to eradicate striving?
Well, it's the uncomfortable feeling that people associate with losing. When they've personally experienced it, they look at losing as they've been oppressed or they've been hurt. But what they don't understand is that is the motivation for growth. And one of the most beautiful things that I think a young person can get involved in is martial arts, because martial arts teach you that in a way that very few things do. They teach you it in, especially jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is so complex and there's so many possibilities to it that it attracts a lot of really smart people. If you think of jiu-jitsu, you would think of like brutish individuals engaging in this hard martial art. If you go to a real good jiu-jitsu school, you see nerds. You see a bunch of like really smart kids that really get obsessed with the possibilities of this physical language. This physical language also teaches you the consequences of not working hard, of not being prepared, of not understanding positions, of not doing due diligence and doing the work. And it's an amazing scaffolding for developing your life.
Well, it also teaches you how to lose.
Yes,
and
that's
and
very important.
One definition of a winner is someone who never let losing stop them.
Yes.
And the idea that a single loss in a competition is somehow a defeat is completely insane. First of all, well, let's say you're a hockey player and you're a good player and you lose the tournament. It's like, well, so what? You played the game. You're increasing your skills. It's like there's always next time. And one of the things that I've also been telling people, informing people about, is the idea that life isn't a game. It's a series of games. And the right ethic is to be the winner of the series of games. And part of that means you have to learn how to be a good loser, because you're not going to win every single game.
Well, you also have to embrace those losses as learning experiences. And the people that have never lost are afraid of losing. They're afraid of learning. You're afraid of that feeling. That terrible feeling that you get from losing is so beneficial.
If you go into the ice, you're really not thinking about your mortgage or your wife or this or that. You're not going to picnic. You feel. The focus will be on your feeling. How to get this feeling into adaptation and to overcome whatever is coming. And it goes directly. And I tell you, the cold has been my teacher. I just followed the teacher, the feeling, learned to let go. Intuitively, I felt, I want to do this. I did yoga, I did kung fu, did all kinds of things, and great. But the cold is really merciless but righteous. And I was ready to go in. I felt intuitively, I want to go in because it has got something. I don't know what it is. And yes, I went in and I felt it. The connection was there beyond any word. And that's what I was looking for. This tapping into deeper parts of the brain, feeling pure energy, feeling power. Innate, capacitated power we have to deal with that. I was looking for that. And since then, I went on and on and on and on. I did all these records and many more challenges. I did crazy stuff, really. Sitting all the night in your shorts outside in freezing temperatures and feel great. That is something, that is power. And I've been venturing and discovering more and more. And finally, I began to realize, but it's all in the mind. Oh yes. So learning to let go in the right way, following your breath. The breath is able to prime the body and then your mind, the neurology of the mind. If I'm able to make my skin temperature not going down while being exposed to ice cold water, skin temperature, that's power. That power is the same power we can learn to embrace and awaken, in which we are able to tackle any stressor in the world. Any stressor emotionally and physically and mentally, whatever you come up, we are built to be able to oppose that, to get through and to learn and not to be afraid, because we have the power of the mind.
How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself and in no instance bypass the discriminations of reason? You have been given the principles that you ought to endorse, and you have endorsed them. What kind of teacher, then, are you still waiting for in order to refer your self-improvement to him? You are no longer a boy, but a full-grown man. If you are careless and lazy now and keep putting things off and always deferring the day after which you will attend to yourself, you will not notice that you are letting no progress, but you will live and die as someone quite ordinary. From now on, then, resolve to live as a grown-up who is making progress, and make whatever you think best a law that you never set aside. And whenever you encounter anything that is difficult or pleasurable or highly or lowly regarded, remember that the contest is now. You are at the Olympic Games, you cannot wait any longer, and that your progress is wrecked or preserved by a single day and a single event. That is how Socrates fulfilled himself, by attending to nothing except reason in everything he encountered. And you, although you are not yet a Socrates, should live as someone who at least wants to be a Socrates. As in walking, you take care not to step on a nail or strain your foot. Likewise, take care not to damage your mind. And if we pay attention to this in every action, we will engage in the action safely. Remember that you are an actor in a play determined by the author. If short, then short. If long, then long. If he wants you to act as a beggar, then act even that with excellence, just as a cripple, a ruler, or a citizen. Because that is your objective, to act the role that is given to you well. To select the role is up to someone else. Whenever you get the impression that something is a pleasure, as with all impressions, be careful that you are not carried away by it, but let it rest and take a break. Then bring to mind both moments in time. The moment you'll enjoy the pleasure and the moment after you've enjoyed it, and you'll regret it and reproach yourself. And set against these moments how you will rejoice and praise yourself if you abstain from it. And if you believe it is proper to engage in it, take care that you are not overwhelmed by its appeal, pleasantness, and seduction. But set in contrast how much better it is to know that you have prevailed